Hello, I'm James Ezimoha. Welcome to Africa News, where we bring you the latest updates from across the African continent. Here are top stories. One dead in Mogadishu as flash floods leave a trail of destruction. Residents seek government intervention. African Catholics react to the election of first American pontiff, Pope Leo XIV. U.S. prepares to receive first group of white South African refugees. In Somalia's capital, Mogadishu, torrential rain has left a trail of destruction. Reports say a boy died after being swept away by flash floods. Residents are calling for urgent government help, accusing officials of visiting without offering support.
In the Zubi area of Mogadishu, residents dug through mud and debris, trying to locate a missing child swept away by floods the night before. His uncle, Hassan Aliyao, said they were caught in the storm while on a motorbike. The boy's body was later found under rubble, a scene that has left locals devastated. Many accuse authorities of failing to act. Residents say they had little hope, but still prayed for a miracle in the wreckage.
Last night, as we were driving motorbike in Zubi Street, heavy floods washed away 2 boys, and one of them survived. The other one is missing under the wreckage of the street, and the trouser of the one who survived can be seen in this place, where they were washed away to. We are very suspicious that our little boy is under this wreckage.
We really need urgent response for Somali people. As you can see, our homes are full of water. The government officials went back when they saw our situation. They left and didn't ask anything about us. They didn't give us any support, and I'm sure that top government officials like the President Hassan did not know what is going on here. I was born and grew up here. The government officials who came last night here are not our representatives.
Somalia's capital has seen heavy rains devastate key areas, including homes and shops. As families mourn and rebuild, many are demanding answers and immediate support from a government they say has abandoned them.
The election of Pope Leo XIV has stirred mixed emotions across Africa. In Ghana and the Democratic Republic of Congo, many Catholics welcomed the news. However, some had quietly hoped this would be the moment for an African pope.
In Ghana's Cape Coast, Father Collins Kwaidu celebrated the announcement of the Catholic Church's new leader. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, the news spread through markets and streets as people tuned in on their phones. Leaders of the church say, while the Pope's American nationality sparked debate, faith should prevail over politics.
A mixed feeling because of what the media has been portraying. The media had portrayed it in such a way that an American can't be a pope because America is a superpower. Meaning, if you get a pope from America, meaning the pope coming from a country that is already a superpower, then it means we have already aligned the pope with America. However, we should understand that this is the work of the Holy Spirit.
The Pope represents the head of the church. And so getting a new church, a new Pope is quite exciting for all of us. And so, yes, we lost our Pope and we're sad about it. We're excited we've gotten a new Pope, which means that we believe that is the direction of God. God has elected the Pope. And we are very hopeful that we'll continue in the footsteps of Pope Francis.
While many faithful expressed joy and unity, others had hoped the church would, for the first time, choose a black African pope.
I am selling my fish here at Nyawera Market, and this is where I just learned about the Pope's election. We are happy, but we thought this time it would be a black Pope. But if it's still a white Pope, there's no problem. We accept it peacefully.
At 69, the newly elected Pope Leo XIV is a former missionary in Peru and only became a cardinal in 2023. His appointment is being watched closely across the global south, where the Catholic Church continues to grow.
Burundi has officially launched its campaign season ahead of legislative and municipal elections set for June 5th. The kickoff ceremony brought together major political players. Meantime, opposition leader accused authorities of intimidation as political tensions rise.
Burundi's President Evariste Ndayishimiye launched the official campaign period Friday at Ngoma Stadium in Gitega. The event brought together senior government officials, electoral commissioners and candidates from across the political spectrum in preparation for the country's June 5th legislative and municipal polls. President Ndayishimiye says the campaign launch marks a major milestone in the country's democratic journey.
Today is a special day in the history of our country. This is an exceptional moment for our democracy. Together we are launching the electoral campaign for the municipal and legislative elections scheduled for June 2025.
Meanwhile, opposition leaders are warning of intimidation in some areas.
It is clear that in some regions, administrative authorities and leaders of the ruling party categorically refuse the presence of another party in their constituencies. Those who refuse are severely mistreated, beaten, held captive in their homes and forced to join the ruling party for fear of being expelled.
As voters prepare to head to the polls in less than a month, observers say the coming weeks will reveal whether Burundi's political landscape is truly opening up or if old patterns of repression remain.
A controversial refugee settlement plan under Donald Trump's administration is drawing attention. The U.S. is preparing to receive its first group of white South African refugees. The decision, however, has sparked criticisms from South Africa and beyond.
The Trump administration is preparing to admit about 50 white South Africans as refugees, with arrivals expected as early as next week. Despite a general freeze on refugee admissions, President Trump had called for prioritizing Afrikaners, describing them as victims of racial discrimination. Some white South Africans seeking resettlement say economic hardship and social exclusion have pushed them to leave.
I don't know what to do. I mean, we've paid taxes and we work and we bend and we keep quiet and we keep silent and all these kind of things, looking to see if the communities are being supported and lifted up in 30 years, and they're not. So it's really, really hard to sit here and be part of that still. And I think that's also one of the big reasons why I feel like it's time.
Critics say the move ignores South Africa's deep racial inequality and historical context.
It internationally paints a picture as though South Africa is going through some civil war, and it's a civil war which has got connotations of genocide. No one wants to be have a country which has got linkages to genocide, which is a false narrative. And then secondly, within the internal borders of South Africa, it really has created a lot of division. It's almost as though President Trump has gone out of his way to sow internal divisions. Look, the Republic of South Africa is not perfect. We're a country trying to transition into many different things. So by him doing this, it will create an issue, one, where many, let's say, nationalists on both sides of camps will say, listen, I've always told you this is what these people want to do. And others will say, well, look, good riddance to bad rubbish type of thing. It's not so.
The outcome of this pilot resettlement may set a precedent for how race and asylum intersect in US immigration policy.
Algeria is marking the anniversary of a tragic chapter in its history. The mass killings of civilians by French forces on 8 May 1945, known as the Day of Remembrance. This date commemorates the violent crackdown on pro-independence demonstrations, which left thousands dead and marked a turning point in Algeria's struggle for freedom.
Algeria is commemorating the anniversary of the mass killings of civilians by French forces on 8 May. The day, officially designated as the Day of Remembrance by a 2020 presidential decree signed by President Abdelmadjid Tebboune, marks a painful chapter in the country's history. The killings, described as crimes against humanity by Algerian officials, reflect the violent response to the pro-independence demonstrations that took place in the aftermath of the Second World War. The roots of this tragic event trace back to 1945, when thousands of Algerians took to the streets of the town of Sétif, as well as nearby towns like Guelma and Karata, to demand independence following the Allied victory over fascism. Initially permitted by French colonial authorities under the condition that only French flags be displayed, the demonstrations quickly escalated when some participants raised Algerian flags, a symbol of the independence movement. This act prompted a harsh crackdown by French security forces, resulting in mass arrests and a violent confrontation. Reports from the time indicate that French troops, supported by armed militia units, responded with force, detaining tens of thousands, carrying out executions without trial, and bombing villages with aircraft and naval fire. According to Algerian sources, entire families were reportedly burned alive, and many villages were destroyed in the ensuing chaos. Estimates of the death toll vary widely. Some accounts suggest that the initial crackdown resulted in around 1,200 deaths, while other estimates range from 15,000 to 20,000. American archival documents reportedly place the figure closer to 30,000, while Algerian government sources claim that as many as 45,000 people were killed in what is now seen as a critical moment in the country's long struggle for independence. Today, the legacy of these events remains deeply etched in the collective memory of Algerians, marking a pivotal turning point in their fight for sovereignty and self-determination.
Cocoa prices have surged to historic highs, prompting a wave of career changes in Nigeria. Some are abandoning urban professions to return to farming roots, especially in cocoa-rich regions like Ikom, where the transformation is reshaping lives and livelihoods.
In southeastern Nigeria's Ikom region, a new generation is entering cocoa farming as global prices hit record levels. Among them is Anyohe Akwa, a civil engineer turned farmer, who returned home after hearing how profitable cocoa had become. Nigeria's cocoa prices jumped from around $37 per 64 kilogram bag in 2022 to as high as almost $500 by late 2024. A reflection of global market disruptions caused by declining output in Ivory Coast and Ghana. With Nigeria facing its worst economic crisis in 30 years, cocoa has offered a rare financial lifeline. Farmers say the rising profits have made cocoa farming more appealing than many white-collar jobs in the cities.
I haven't left civil engineering. I love it. But I have more interest in cocoa now because it's generating, if you pay annum, it's generating more money for me. By the assessment of last year, the little effort put, I saw what generated. So with that, if I put more effort and consistency, showing commitment to the farm, then I'm sure of having more outcome.
Agricultural experts credit policy efforts and seed distribution programs for helping boost production capacity across the country.
Between 2015 and 2019, Cocoa Recharges of Nigeria gave out 601,000 cocoa pods freely to farmers under a project called Cocoa Transformation Agenda. Even during COVID, about 600,000 seedlings were given to cocoa farmers freely to improve their establishments. And this new variety we are talking of, within 3 years, they're supposed to have started producing. So putting all these things together, by now, we believe Nigeria cocoa production level will have doubled.
With international prices still high and more farmers joining the trade, stakeholders believe Nigeria could close the gap with top producers. But infrastructure and policy support will be key to sustaining the momentum.
In a rare shift from Somalia's clan-based political tradition, residents in Mogadishu are lining up to register for local elections. The move marks a new chapter for a country where direct voting has been largely absent for decades.
For the first time in decades, thousands of Somalis are registering to vote in local elections, a major departure from the clan-based system that long shaped the country's politics. Since the fall of Somalia's central government in 1991, leaders have largely been appointed by clan elders. But this new voter registration drive is allowing ordinary citizens to directly shape their local leadership, prompting hope among many, especially older voters who recall casting ballots during the country's early independence era.
My last time to vote was during the first president of Somalia, Aden Ade. For me, it is happiness and dance, and I will be happier if I get to participate this time round. It is happiness for me to be a registered voter in our country. We are now ready.
Election officials say the unexpected turnout has led to overcrowding and forced quick adjustments to staffing and infrastructure.
We have not seen challenges. Our workers are trained and the system is safe. Everything is going smoothly, although it seems people are overcrowded. More people came, and that is why we increased number of workers. Initially, we thought few people would come out, and number of our workers adjusted to that. Now there is need to increase workers and registration centres. These are the main challenges we are facing.
The surge in voter registration marks a pivotal moment for Somalia's democracy, but officials now face the urgent task of expanding infrastructure to meet the demands of a public eager for direct political participation.
More families in Uganda are turning to breast milk donation to help premature babies survive. Grassroots network and hospitals are now collecting and distributing milk across the country, but efforts to scale up face cultural barriers that health workers are still working to overcome.
Uganda is quietly embracing a life-saving shift in newborn care. Donor breast milk for babies born too early or without access to a mother's milk. From homes to hospitals, more infants are receiving carefully screened and pasteurized milk. Premature birth remains a major cause of death among Ugandan infants, and formula isn't always an option. Grassroots groups like ATTA and hospital milk banks are stepping in, with thousands of litres donated since 2021. Caregivers say the donated milk made the difference between life and death.
The baby was premature, and the baby was underweight of 1 kilogram. But in that situation, we got a company called ATA, and they gave us blessed milk. Then I started giving the baby the blessed milk, and the baby, when gained that 1.5, we was able to be discharged from Rago Hospital to go home.
Nutritionists say the process behind making donor milk is safe for newborns.
There is no harm in the baby taking donor milk, as long as the donor milk, the mother drinking that milk, has been tested for various illnesses. For example, HIV/AIDS, syphilis, hepatitis B, hepatitis C, and the milk has also been pasteurized. It will not harm the baby receiving it.
Doctors say the program is already saving lives.
We've been able to serve over 300 babies, and we've had over 500 donors within the bank. And if we have milk, maybe more than 500 liters of milk have been collected, and more than 300 liters of milk has been given.
Uganda's health ministry is now expanding the model to other regions, aiming to reach more newborns at risk. While cultural concerns remain, health workers say awareness is growing, and so is demand.
That's all we have today in Africa News. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to A News.